he produced approximately 250 self-portrait paintings and drawings, more than any artist since Rembrandt. Interesting. The self-portrait was one of the major themes in Schiele's art. His oeuvre is a highly personal one, chronicling the major events and important people who figured in his lifetime and reflecting the devouring intensity with which he faced his most intimate emotional experiences. And you can see the abstraction in the way that Goldstein has organized this circuit. That's a good word. That's the same word that Henry Poor uses in his book from 1903, that you make a circuit for the eye to travel in. Now, getting an assaulting line is not an easy thing to do with a delicate implement. And so you'd need something stronger like pen and ink, like a compressed charcoal, with a tip that is not going to be super long and, again, delicate. So if I make a curve that initially starts out like this, it's not that I'm avoiding this as though it's illegitimate for drawing. I'm saying that this builds into that. How is he able to hold on to the solidity of the joint? This is part of his magic, in my opinion. He's able to make these forms feel like they have architecture. Another really important recommendation for you, quite possibly worth the cost of admission today, and that is that some of the great artists would work in the carpenter's pencil because they could achieve very thick lines and very thin lines within the twist of a wrist. If you mishandle them, pun intended, then your whole legitimacy in your image falls apart, doesn't it? There's a whole host of things you can study. One of them is called the first dorsal interosseous muscle. It's one of the three great teardrop shapes in the hand. Happens to exist right about here. The first dorsal interosseous. By maybe even working a line on top of a wet passage, and then as the watercolor sets up, it's all right if it's half dry as it goes down, just to test it. And then the things that are acknowledged as the most esteemed works of Western art, Leonardo, Michelangelo, the greatest of calligraphic lines. There's something that this seems to straddle the edges of that makes it so special and so worthy of our attention. In these tough, vivid drawings, a new precision replaces the old. Rather than outlines, the lines are more emphatic contours. The drawing instrument has become a probe, pressing for bone, muscle, and tissue. The conventional poses are gone, and there is a total change in the models and what they do. Schiele has transformed himself into a new artist, a modern artist. I think you're okay, especially if what you're mainly doing is a non-shaded contour exploration, which is what we're really looking at in through here with these pieces. Is the ways, the means perhaps, the mechanisms that he used to twist the body up, and that goes to your question, because we know when we look at certain markers in the body, for example, right there, I'm going to point to it in the drawing, you could see that mark, and you could probably reference your own image. If we put that line a little further to the right, you see my marker right here? If I put that line further to the right, what is that saying? Well, it's saying that there's more rotation. If I take that line and I move it with the chamois over toward the left, it's saying, and this is so interesting in the body, it's saying that there's less rotation. That's right. He says that he notices, and he doesn't see it as common knowledge, that when you take somebody's structural layout, that there tends to be kind of a compression, an asymmetrical compression on one side of the face, and he describes it as dropping down this way. This is very interesting. And he says usually when you get this happening in the facial construction, where one eye is a bit lower, you get the mouth reaching for the eye that's dropping. If you want to see how well it's going, you could always hit the area with a chamois, you see, and the vine charcoal will disappear, and the carbon will stay. So it's a way to check your progress on how well you're fixing the drawing. When asked why he drew such ugly representations of himself, Schiele responded. This is a quote from Schiele. "Certainly, I have made pictures which are horrible. I do not deny that. But do they believe that I do it in order to act like a horror of the bourgeois? No, this was never the case. But yearning too has its ghosts, by no means for my pleasure. It was my obligation.